episode of Behind the Reality podcast brought to you by Urbanpopradio, where we discuss everything fashion, entertainment, politics, culture, and more. I'm your host for today, Olatomiwa. Today's conversation is one that has been making rounds in political circles, community discussion, and even casual conversation across Kwara State. We'll be unpacking the Kwara North agenda, a topic that touches on governance, fairness, representation, and the future of leadership in Kwara State. I'm not here alone. Joining me to dive deep into this conversation is someone who has been at the forefront of political advocacy, grassroots mobilization, and development conversation within the states. He's respected for his boldness and clarity of thought. My amiable guest, Comrade Musa Idris Bukor, is from Ilesha Barubai, Baruti Local Government, Kwara North, in Kwara State, Nigeria. He's an advocate of good governance, sustainable development, and an egalitarian. He's a politician, a prolific writer, public affairs and policy analyst, and a farmer. He's a youth and a community leader. Comrade Musa, welcome to Urbanpopradio.
Thank you very much for having me.
And thank you so much for joining us for Behind the Reality podcast.
Thank you so much.
So let's get right into it. For the sake of our listeners who may not fully understand the backstory, could you briefly explain what the Kwara North agenda is all about and why it matters so much at this point in the state's political history?
Well, to start with, I prefer it to be called AMP, that's Inclusive Kwara North Project. Inclusive Kwara North Project. And what this is all about is a fact that it is over 58 years now that the state of harmony has been created, and we've undergone different, political dispensations, right from the military up to the democratic dispensations. Within that framework, from the First Republic, from the Second Republic up to the Third Republic, Kwara North has not been able to occupy the seats to pilot the affairs of our dear state of harmony. So the first and the last time we had that was January 1992 to November 1993. That's about 22 months. So thereafter, a lot of water has passed under the bridge since then till today. And if you are counting down, that's more than 30 years now that we've had that opportunity. So what we are saying, what the people of that senatorial district are saying, and not just the people, we are talking about the people that are the second largest population. If you look at it from the perspective of the three senatorial districts we have in Kwara State, that's one. We are talking about the people that have the largest land mass of the state of harmony, comprising of 75.34% of the land mass of Kwara. That is very significant. And if you also talk about the contribution in terms of internally generated revenues and federal allocations that had accrued to the 16 local government areas of Kwara State since as far back as January 2003 till date, we are talking about the senatorial district that has, delivered or provided more than 38.57%. That's the highest compared to Kwara Central. So what we are saying is that we are significant players. In fact, we are significant stakeholders in our dear state of harmony. If you also look at it from the perspective of food crops production, cash crop production, livestock resources, water resources, and many other resources that has to do with the states. So we are talking about significant stakeholders, or if not the highest stakeholders in the Kwara project that are demanding, that have been advocating, that have been striving, to occupy or to attain their political dream of what? Piloting the affairs of our dear state to contribute their own quota, intellectual quota, strategic quota, developmental quota, and visionary quota to the governance of our dear state of harmony.
Thank you so much, sir. That's really fantastic. Now, you've run us through memory lane as to the last time Kwara North has, produced an aspirant or ruled the state. But what do you think this long gap say about political representation in the states?
Yeah.
What do you think the gap Now, that's over 30 years.
Of course.
So what do you think that gap says about the political representation in the states?
Yeah, well, it says a lot. It talks about marginalization, that's political exclusion or marginalization. If we look at the constitution of Nigeria, there are some things that are very basic. We have local government areas. Out of the 16 in Kwara, Kwara North has 5, Central has 4, South has 7. And in these local government areas, you have local government chairmen, which are constitutional. You have House of Assembly members, you have councillors, you have House of Reps members, and you have a senatorial district, which is enshrined in the Constitution of Nigeria. So that is that. But the position of an executive governor is very powerful. It wields a lot of influence. And I think that is the gap we've had, because I've just mentioned that the landmass is very large, more than 75% of the landmass of Kwara State. And then there's something important that I did not state earlier, which is the fact that the only international border we have in Kwara is domiciled in Borotin local government area of Kwara North. That's the only international border we have in Kwara State, bordering Republic of Benin. And if you look at distance of that area to the urban areas, whether at Kwara benchmark or at national benchmark, you see that that part of the state is farther, okay, away from urban areas compared to other areas. So this signals, or this shows that there is infrastructural gap. Those are some of the gap I want to point out. Infrastructural gap, human capital development gap. Because for industry to strive, for other basic infrastructure to thrive, proximity to urban area also plays a factor. And of course, the farther a place is from the urban area, the higher the costs of executing some basic infrastructural projects. So these are some of the gap that has, been felt or that exists between then and now.
That's a very strong point. Thank you so much, sir. It gives a clear picture of why this conversation has become so important.
Of course, it is.
However, while this agenda is being pushed forward, Kwara North has also faced rising causes of insecurity, kidnappings, attacks, and fears in community that has made headlines. My question is, we are fighting for a zone to produce the next governor, yet insecurity remains a pressing issue. Okay. How do you intend to address this insecurity? And more importantly, do you genuinely have the capacity and the structure, the facility to govern effectively if power comes to Kwara North?
To start with, on the aspect of security you talked about, no, it's not true that security threats is peculiar to that part of the state. I would like to take you globally. If you look at it from global perspective, because there is a nexus between the global security threats and what we are facing here in Nigeria, even down to our dear states or down to our area. If you look at it globally, the ISIS, ISWAP, the war in Afghanistan, the toppling of Gaddafi in North Africa, the crisis in Niger, the crisis in Mali, the crisis in Burkina Faso, all led to proliferation of small arms, not within the African continent again also, but to Nigeria. I want the listeners to have a crystal clear picture of what we are talking about or what we are dealing with. So Nigeria is a West African country. Niger is a West African country, or yes, West African country. Mali, Burkina Faso, and Republic of Benin are all West African countries. And all these countries I mentioned share border with Nigeria. Now, Republic of Benin shares, at the northern end, shares border with Burkina Faso. Kebbi, Niger, Zamfara, Kaduna, and all these other things share border with Niger Republic. So I want you to understand that perspective. Now, come to the second aspect, which is the border. Our borders are very porous, isn't it? There is free movement through smuggling and, entry of illegal immigrants to Nigeria through those borders. So a lot of things happen there. Now, Kwara State shares border with Niger State. Internationally, Kwara State shares border with the Republic of Benin along Barutin axis, one. Then it shares border with Kayama local government area, two. Kayama shares border with Borgu local government area in Niger State, three. Borgu local government area shares border with Agwara. And Borgu and Agwara shares international border with Republic of Benin. I want you to be compiling or taking note of these variables. Okay. Borgu local government area shares border with Mashegu local government area in Niger State, which is the third largest local government area in Nigeria. I want you to note that Borgu in Niger State is the largest local government area by landmass in the whole of Nigerian Federation with over 11,590 square kilometers, followed by Barutel local government area in Kwara, is the second largest landmass in the whole of Nigerian Federation, followed by Mashegu in Niger, is the third largest, followed by Kayama, which is the seventh largest local government area, having 7,125.5 square kilometers. If you combine all these things together, I'm driving at something, which leads me to the third point. You know Kanji Lake National Park, created in 1969, is one of the oldest, I think it's the first national park in Nigeria. Is domiciled in Baruten, Kayama, and Borgu local government area of Niger State. We are talking about a 5,341 square kilometers national park. You can imagine the size. For those that may not know what we are talking about, it's larger than Ifelodun. Okay? So if you add Ifelodun local government area and maybe Edu local government area, that will give you the size of the forest. We are talking about thick forests. Okay? Thick forests in that area. And this forest is connected to some other forests in the northern Nigeria, Zamfara and other things. So that's to tell you what we are dealing with. So since about 2008 or thereabouts, there has been, you know, after the beginning of Boko Haram crisis from 2009 to 2011 and all those things, spilling up to like 2015, there has been entry or encroachment of militants, terrorists in those reserves. They've been there over time, and of course, you know what is going on. Aside that, when the hits, the onslaughts on Boko Haram and other things was at the peak in the northeast, they migrated, you know, they dispersed to northwest. That's where we started having the issue of cattle rustling and banditry or whatever. And some of them find their ways to these forests. You can see the connectivity between these things I'm telling you. So insecurity is not common to Kwara North alone. And of course, some elements, Patigi local government area in Kwara North shares border with Kogi State along Kogi West axis, and there are forests there. So some of those non-state actors or terrorists, you know, penetrate through the forest in Kwara State, through Patigi, and then the ones I told you entering the national park, and then they find their ways to Borgu, Agwara, Kayama, and Barutin local government area. So that is what we are dealing with. So it is not peculiar to that part of the state. It's a global issue, it's a national issue, and it has come to Kwara. And not only in Kwara North, Kwara South is having it. And there is an established connection between these things we are talking about, between this advocacy we are talking about, because it's also connected to development. So this is the general picture. That's, by the way, you talked about readiness or capacity or structure. Well, in terms of readiness, I don't think there's anybody that would have been ready or been readier than the people of Kwara North, who have been, you know, talking, who have been seeking, who have been striving, who have been advocating over time till this time. So if you talk about readiness, we are more than ready. And if you talk about capacity, you can look at capacity from different touchstones or from different benchmark. You talk about maybe intellectual capacity, which is not, we have that in abundance. If you talk about political capacity, structures, you talk about structure, and that brings us to political wherewithal. In politics, elections are won in the ballots. Election is a game of numbers. On that benchmark, if you look at the highest votes in Kwara State today, is in the Kwara Central. I would look at the 2023 elections, the votes that the winning party earned from Kwara North, from Kwara Central was 38 point something percent, while Kwara North provided 34 point something percent, and then the remaining percent was provided by the Kwara South Senatorial District. So what I'm trying to say is this. In terms of population, I've said that earlier, that it is the second largest demography. And if we talk about political votes, capital, Kwara North has that. And with the unicity of Kwara North in terms of vote is that the vote comes in bulk. You get my point? Yeah. It's just like a kind of one direction. It's not, if the people of Kwara North are going this way, they go fully. And if they will not, and they will not. So, to the question you asked about capacity, about structure, about everything, I want to tell you and assure you that there is no, I don't think there's anybody readier, than the people of Kwara North as far as this project is concerned. And for the people that try to bring security threats, that because of security, so we should not have the governor, I want to say that this is either they are being mischievous or they are not facing reality. You understand? Yeah. Before 2015, before General Muhammadu Buhari came on board, their insecurity was at this peak. And that does not stop a northerner from emerging the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Even here in Kwara, before 2019 elections, there was some security threats or breach in offer. You get my point. So what I'm trying to say is that it is a global issue. It's a national issue. It is not peculiar to Kwara State alone. Zamfara, Kebbi, Kaduna, almost. So, and that has not stopped the business of governance. So politics, the election process, there is a window. It's something, it has a timetable. We cannot say because we are facing, okay, are those propagating those opinions saying that there is not going to be election? So that is it. In as much as we feel, there is no area that has been worst hit by insecurity in Kwara State than the people of Kwara North, and we've been able, we are mobilizing support. Yes, we've lost, some people, which is very sad, and we are very sympathetic to them, and we know within the confine of the government and the community, there is a lot of collaborative efforts ongoing to address the situation and to ensure that all these threats become a thing of the past. And to buttress that, I think day before yesterday, yes, the president of the Federal Republic has graciously approved, the deployment of troops, a full brigade, and then of some military hardwares and even softwares for operations to turn tide against the evil or unscrupulous elements in our dear state.
Thank you so much. May the soul of the lost ones be rest in peace. So
Amen.
let's
Thank you very much.
Promises. The governor of Kwara State has publicly assured that the next governor will emerge from Kwara North. That's a big statement.
Has he?
But allegedly.
Okay.
But some critics argue that this is more about power of personal interest rather than an actual development for the zone. So what would you say about that?
I will start with a question. Those that said it's a matter of personal interest, when we had a governor in 1999, from 1999 to 2003, we had a governor of blessed memory, late retired Rear Admiral Mohammed Alabi Lawal. He was from Kwara Central. Was he there for interest, for his personal interest, or for his development of the state? In 2023, the former Senate President, Governor Bukola Saraki, came on board to become the governor of Kwara State from 2023 to 2011. Yeah. Was he there for personal interest or to develop the state, for the development of the state? In 2011, from 2011 to 2019, Governor Abdul Fattah Ahmed from Kwara South was there. Was he there for his personal interest or for development of the state or for contribution of his own quota to the state of harmony? The present governor we are having, His Excellency Alhaji Mala Abdurrahman Abdurazak, took over the mantle of leadership in 2019. He's in his sixth, or more than the 6th year now. He's going to his 7th year. and by God's grace, he's going to complete his 8 years. When he ascended the mantle of leadership, was he there for his personal interest or for development of the state? So with all these things I've said, you know that it's just a gainsaying. Some people are, I don't want to say maybe it's selfish, or some people are hell-bent, in working against, the fair, genuine, just, and equitable advocacy or strive of the people of Kwara North to occupy Ahmadu Bello House in 2027. So that's to tell you, well, it's normal. We are not perturbed by that. It's politics. It's a matter of interest. So we know how to play the game, and we'll continue to work hard. We'll continue to talk to people. We'll continue to woo people to that cause so as to achieve our goal of occupying Ahmadu Bello House comes 2027 by God's grace.
Okay, thank you so much,
It's
sir.
a pleasure.
So, sir, I want to ask this question. To chip in, so if you're offered like 20 million naira to campaign for someone from either Kwara South or Kwara Center, will you accept it?
If I'm giving 20 million
to campaign for someone from another?
You see, firstly, as citizens, patriotism is the fundamental basis of citizenship. There is no how we can build a great nation, a great community, or not to even talk of a great state without patriotism. So people, our doings, our saying should be strictly based on our vision, based on what aligns with our, nation building. It shouldn't be about something that is brought in or something that. Personally, we had this discussion earlier. Personally, in 2011, I was posted to observe an election in Gamuza, that's the name of the village, in Kebbi State, about 10 kilometers to Bachakai, in Ingaski local government area of Kebbi State. It shares a border with the Republic of Benin. I was, assigned on trust to observe an election. During that election, someone invited me. He was a big man, he's loaded. He was wearing a white babariga, and, he's someone that, has huge financial war chest. He asked me to name my price. He gave me a blank check to name my price to cooperate with them, which I declined. That was far back as 2011, when I was not even having, I wasn't having any source of income. I wasn't working, so to say. That was then. In 2006, I was an enumerator for the National Population Census. There are some things, the exercise started on Monday and ended on Friday, but we couldn't cover some areas. So there are some people that wanted us to manipulate the figures. It is being done other places, but I declined. So I've met people, I've done things, I've done business, but we've, maintained discipline as far as doing the right thing. So not even 20, how much did you say?
20
million? Or not even a trillion. Yes. So we are on this course, and it is a fair one. It means a lot to us. You cannot imagine. Just take yourself as an instance for you to have contributed that much to a project, and then you have. So for people like us, we are doing this so that posterity, our children, our grandchildren, will come and occupy their rightful place in the political history of our dear state of Harmony. So not even 20 million and trillion or whatever.
Thank you so much, Comrade Musa, for your patriotism. As we round up, if you had the ears of every citizen in Kwara State right now, not just Kwara North,
yes,
what message would you want to leave them with regarding this agenda?
Before the inclusion, Kwara North inclusion or inclusive project, I will urge citizens that nation building and Kwara building is the business of all the citizens of Kwara State. On that note, the present security threats that we are facing, we are going to overcome it very soon. And it takes every one of us to contribute our own quota by being patriotic, by not sharing fake news, by being responsible, and by supporting our communities, the government, and the security agencies in turning the tide against the evil element. That's by the way. And then secondly, on the Kwara North Inclusive Project or Inclusion Project, I urge Kwarans to support our cause in the interest of peace, sustainable development to contribute our own quota to the development of our estate of harmony. Those are the two messages.
Thank you. You've all heard it. Power rotation is always a sensitive topic, but conversations like this help us to demystify intentions, expose reality, and also encourage informed political engagement. Thank you so much, Comrade Musa, for sharing your thoughts.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
With us on Behind the Reality podcast.
Thank you so much. God bless Behind the Reality podcast.
Amen. And to all our listeners tuning in from different parts of Kwara and beyond, thank you so much for joining us. Remember, leadership is not just about who holds the seat of power, but how power is used to build communities. Kwara North hasn't had a governorship aspirant for the past 30 years. Do you think this is the right time for them to produce a governor, or they should just focus on finding a solution to the insecurity in their zones? Kindly share your thoughts on this. And if you've enjoyed today's conversation, don't forget to subscribe, to share, and follow us on all our social media and Urbanpopradio NG for more insightful episodes. I'm Olatomiwa, and this has been Behind the Reality podcast. Until next time, stay informed and stay engaged. Bye.